it does really well of just cutting through here. One capable, concealable, deadly, life-saving tool that can get you out of a jam, that can save your life in the woods, that can save your life in a fight. That was the idea behind the design of the Nighthawk here. Let's do a little review. Let's do some performance tests and talk more about it. So the inspiration behind the Nighthawk was the CIA operatives, between the 60s and the 80s, maybe in the 90s. Sometimes they'd be behind enemy lines, doing their clandestine operations, and they couldn't really have a firearm with them. They didn't want to seem like a combatant, but they still wanted something they could break out of prison with, chisel through a wall with, something that they could use to survive in the jungle with. They were there in a survival situation, something that if they were really in a pinch, they could take out and start to fight with and save their life with it. Something to break out of a car, break into a building, a do-it-all, robust, concealable tool. And a lot of them went with custom knives, kind of like this one. Bob Loveless, Bo Randall, they supplied the sort of custom knives that these CIA operatives would ask for and would need. That was the inspiration behind the Nighthawk, and I patterned it loosely off of some of those knives. What we have here is a 4-inch blade and a 4-inch handle. The blade is a drop point, which offers great versatility and a really robust tip, but it's got this unsharpened swedge on the back, and that allows it to have some extended and extra penetration here. Now, don't mind this cat who's coming over to visit. Please excuse the cat. Let me get back to what I was saying here. So what I wanted was a versatile design, kind of in line with these old knives. They often had little brass guards here with double quillions. They often had a micarta handle with some cool spacers in between and a nice high polish. So that was kind of the inspiration behind this. But I also thought through what I would actually want as a operative. And what I would want is something that's very versatile. So wanting versatility, that's why I went with this drop point blade. The drop point blade is a great hunting and skinning knife, which is something you might have to do. But it's also got a pretty thick, robust tip. So you could go through cinder block, pry a door with this. This could take an impact into concrete if it had to. Just something unconventional. If you had to use the knife in an unconventional way, it would be totally up to the task to do that. It's thick, it's robust, even though it's beautiful. Now, with this unsharpened false edge, as we're gonna see later, it also does great with penetration. And actually that higher point means more edge is contacting material when it's penetrating, also makes it slide in really easily. That plus a 4-inch blade, this gives you enough blade to, again, butcher a deer, plenty of blades to baton and do all your bushcrafting tasks, plenty for leverage, and at 4 inches, that's a lot of penetration and displacement and a slashing ability if it needs to be used in a combative scenario. So that's why I went with this style blade. Now this is a 1095 blade, and it's differentially heat treated, so it's hardened on the edge, flexible on the spine, and it's very durable. Moving back, I've just got the smallest little guard here, but double quillion, because that's what they did. And really, this is very comfortable. So if you go into a saber grip, your hands are safe. You are not going to slip up onto the blade. And that's huge, again, because this might be the only thing between you and the kidnapping or something of that nature. So you can utilize it well with a saber grip and reverse grip. It's going to work the same way for you. Keep your hand from going up onto that blade. It also does not get in the way. If you want to choke up with your thumb or go up with your finger, notice I'm not getting poked by this. So it's not a huge exaggerated guard, which wouldn't be good for concealing anyway. It's pretty small. Notice how I made sure to round off all the edges. So this is not going to get caught or snagged in a garment. That's part of the design here, keeping it concealable and able to be used. Say hello. Okay. These cats have not learned social skills. They may never, because they're not dogs. I always say a good cat acts like a dog and a bad dog acts like a cat. moving back, we've got my micarta handles. Again, full durability, complete resistance to water or anything like that. Some nice spacers in there. That's just for that classic look. There's no real function to them other than how nicely they look. Now, the guard here, this is not fabricated. This is not CNC machined. Nothing here is cut out, laser engraved, none of that. This is hand forged on this anvil. This guard is cut out with a grinder, and then I use drills and files, and it's all hand done. And it takes a long time, especially when you try to get that fit right. So no shortcuts, no tricks. This is just all hand done here, but it ends up being very good and very satisfying. And finally, we have the lanyard hole here. This could be affixed to something if you really needed to, a spear. You know, wrap it around here and wrap it all the way to the front, and then get a whip and pull it through. And you could have a spear here, and actually, look at that. That would be a nice spear, wouldn't it? Pretty good and broad. That's also good for a lanyard. It just gives you more options. It's nice to have there. Then again, we've got some decorative jimping along the back here, some vine work and jimping. So that's the idea behind this blade. That's the design. And then of course, for this straight handle, I went with a straight handle because it offers the most versatility of grips. Hammer, forward, reverse, blade in, blade out. It's totally neutral in this way. And again, you want neutral grip when you want full versatility. And then I find that a straight handle just tends to be a little bit easier to conceal than a curved handle, because a curved handle may kind of, poke out, hold the shirt out. So there's a little bit of a concealment concept going into this. My goal for this was that it could be concealed in my underpants without massive discomfort or any sort of obvious printing, and that was achieved. So figure if you can hide a knife in your underpants, you are doing pretty well. We'll go over the sheath at the end. Let me show you some performance. Right, cutting performance. Well, a nice broad blade like this is going to cut really well through material, and look how it goes through this leather. It's always nice and buttery. It's a great leather knife, great for making leather. And then again with that tip, because it's kind of got a sweep up to the tip, it does really well of just cutting through here and making those cuts nice and easy. A lot of knives will not do this. If you're a knife guy and you've used knives a lot, you'll know that usually towards the tip, knives don't cut very well. And man, every single blade show I go to, there's a custom knife there. I look at the tip, I don't see a taper. I see where the relief edge hits the spine, and it's thick and it's chunky. I look at the edge here, it's thick and chunky, and I know I could just drag it across my finger and not cut myself. Not so with my blades. They are made fine, they are made precise, they are made correctly. A knife needs to cut at the tip. In fact, with those other knives, the tip is what starts so many cuts, especially in a combative scenario. If you're striking with this, the first part it's gonna hit is the tip. If your tip does not initially penetrate through material, then your knife is never gonna penetrate. It's not gonna do a good job. My knives are designed for function from the ground up. And we don't have to talk combat. We can talk about, caping and skinning. You've gotta have taper there. And so many custom knife makers just don't know that, because I really don't think they go out and use knives every single day, like I have for years and years and years since I was a pretty young guy. A boy, I should say. I'm still a young guy. So that taper there is the difference between a knife that works and a knife that doesn't work. Not much rope hanging here. Let's see how we do. Pretty simple. Check this out. Very easy. That right there could be a life-saving cut. Just because it looks nice doesn't mean you have to treat it nicely. This can take tons of abuse. I could pry through this whole 2x4, no problem. Look how deep I'm getting in there. And how about a little batoning? Again, no problem. Remember the idea, if you had to survive in the jungle with this, you'd have to get some dry wood, you'd have to split firewood. Now, there is no damage that's going to be done to this guard. It's never going to rattle. It's never going to come loose. And I know because I'm the one who made this. And I will not go into the anvil. This is minor. It could do this for years and years. Tip, totally fine. Edge, perfect. No problem with this. This is not abuse. Some knife makers call this abuse. I say that's kind of a weak move. Your knife should be able to do that and look good doing it. You need a durable edge, yes, but you don't want your edge so thick that you can't do nice, fine, long shaves like this. It's got to be a balance. Cuts thinly, but can also stand up to a lot of abuse. 4 layers here, these canvas pants. Got through that pretty nicely, actually. Again. Yeah. Nice, no issue. Very good. Well, that, I wouldn't want to be on the other side of those pants. That's for sure. Now we come to the sheath. Let's talk a little bit about the sheath and its concealability. What I have here is a Kydex sheath, but I've wrapped it and permanently affixed to it leather. This makes it very comfortable to have on your body. And I've done a lot of swimming this summer with these sheaths, leather wrap. They do not come loose, they do not delaminate. The leather does not come free from the Kydex. It is permanently fixed there with wood weld, the same stuff you'd use to put a countertop on, synthetic countertop on. So that holds great, looks great, feels great, and it ups the retention just a little bit because it makes the Kydex a little bit stiffer and a little bit quieter, not noticeably. Now, this is a minimal sheath. It doesn't take up a lot of bulk and a lot of versatility because it's got these grommets here, these eyelets. And what I've done is I put a Utility clip, an Alta clip. I get that wrong every time. An Alta clip on it. What this does is allow you to mount this knife pretty much anywhere you have material. You do not need to show it on your belt, and that's great because your belt can go over it and this thing can disappear. Let me just show you a easy waistband carry and how this can be easily, quietly carried and quickly deployed. You just go to this 4 o'clock position here, open it up, slide it on, make sure it's not against your hip bone, and connect it. Belt goes over it, shirt goes over it, and it's gone. Even if I want to tuck in my shirt here, it's gone because the clip is not connected to the belt. It's behind the belt. So here is concealed, and let's just see what it's like to get at it in kind of a fake scenario. Strong side draw would look something like this. Okay. So you want to use one hand. Go. If I want to throw this into a rotation, something like that. You get to it quickly, or you might not have to get to it, you know? Maybe the guy he goes and say, all right, great, didn't have to do that. Okay, how about non-dominant side? Let's pretend I'm using it to protect my sidearm. He reaches for it, boom. That's gonna be over very quickly. Let's say reaches from behind. That's gonna be over very, very quickly. So totally use this non-dominant hand. It's pretty quick. And you can keep your right hand free for your primary weapon. So there you go. Let's do some tests to see if I can get this to shake loose in kind of a wild situation. Let's see what happens. All right, let's just simulate some of the energy of a fight here. See if I can rattle this knife loose. I know I won't. If I could, it'd be really dangerous. Here we go. Good. And what if, boom, on the ground. Push it back. Yep, that's good. Nice. Nice. Cool. Cool. This here is doing more harm than good. But it's a dynamic environment. Oh, he tosses me in the ground. So far, so good. Let's go do this guy. Yep. Still good. Then, handstand. Bam. Hit like this. Yeah. Not loose. So, I think we're good there. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoyed that, especially that last part. That was pretty fun. I hope that shows you how the Nighthawk here really is an excellent knife for its intended design, which is combat, survival, evasion, escape, skinning. That's part of survival. Whatever. This knife is up to the challenge. Now this one right here is going for $425. I believe that's what I've asked for it. I kind of forget sometimes. Contact me if you want this. So marsfireforge@gmail.com. Contact me and see if I still have it on hand. If not, don't worry, I can make you a custom one. If you wanted something like this with a Bowie tip to it, we could do that. With a curved handle, we could do that. Again, nothing's cut out of steel. It is hand forged. I make it with this hammer, and look, here's a little tanto being done here. So this is what the process is like, and it's very versatile. So let me know what you want. Check out my website, marsfireforge.com. There's links to YouTube and to my Instagram through that website. You can see all the stuff I've done. It's been quite a bit. Only a few years have been documented on Instagram, and doing this since 2008. Please comment below, questions, jokes, whatever you'd like to say. And again, you want a knife? Let me know. Let me show you one more thing. If you've watched this far, congratulations. Here's the inventory I have on hand right now. I've done another video about these swallows, but they're 130 bucks a piece. Excellent EDC blade, very light. Check those out. 300 for this coffin handle Bowie that you can carry with you all the time. I've got a video on that too. But these are currently in stock. Let me know. I can ship them right to your house. All right. Thank you so much for watching. And again, tune in next time for another Mars Fire Forge video.